Let us pray. God of tilling, sowing, and new life, bless our graduates of the School of Theology and Seminary and the College of Arts and Sciences with courage, wisdom, joy, and hope. Hold in your compassionate care the parents, grandparents, siblings of these graduates, and the faculty, staff, and administrators, and all who have made this day possible. Keep us all together in your care and love. We make this prayer through our risen and ascended Lord, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Please be seated. As Abbot of St. John's Abbey, on behalf of the sponsoring Benedictine community, and as delegated by the Chair of the Board of Trustees, I herewith call into session this commencement convocation at the conclusion of our 161st year of conferring academic degrees granted by the university. I request Dr. Michael Hemasath, President of St. John's University, to take charge of these exercises.
Thank you, Abbot John. Congratulations to the members of the class of 2018, our undergraduates and our graduate students. We're delighted to be here to celebrate on this gorgeous spring day. For those of us that are Minnesotans, I think a month ago, few of us would have predicted that we would have this incredible spring weather. A lot of us thought there'd still be ice on the lake. I think it has to do with the character of our graduates. Somewhere in Matthew it says, the sun shines on the righteous. It also says the sun shines on the unrighteous, but we're going to focus on the righteous today. So births, baptisms, marriages, deaths. We gather in community to celebrate life's most important events. And today, of course, we celebrate commencement. It's appropriate at this time of gathering to pause and take time out of the usual busyness of life to reflect. I'd like us in particular to recall at this time a member of this class who tragically is not with us today. Andrew Schneider from Albany, Minnesota, is not with us, though he was a member of this class. Our thoughts and prayers are with all who knew Andrew and with the members of his family. As we look back today on our 161st year, I ask graduates to take a little time to reflect on this graduation event. I've always liked the fact that there are synonyms for this event. It's graduation and it's commencement. As a graduation, it's a time for looking back. It's a completion of something very important in your lives. Think back to where you were just a few years ago before you came to start your education at St. John's. Consider all that you have accomplished during the past 4 years and how you have changed and grown as a person. First and foremost, you've completed all your academic requirements for your bachelor's degree and your master's degree. You've engaged in all manner of extracurricular activities, from service projects to internships to campus jobs, athletics, music, student government, along with many other endeavors that are an essential part of the undergraduate and graduate experience at St. John's. And most importantly, you've formed relationships with faculty, staff, monks, and of course, your classmates. If you're anything like the previous generations of Johnnies who graduated before you, those relationships will last a lifetime. If we did our job well during these 4 years, or 2 or 3 years, you've become a liberally educated person, capable of appreciating other perspectives, capable of empathy with other individuals, but also secure in your own values, ideas, and beliefs, which will allow you to pursue a life of meaning and service once you leave Collegeville. This day, of course, is also a commencement, a beginning, a time to look ahead. It's the beginning of your life as a graduate of St. John's University. And finally, it's also a time to give thanks. Certainly, you are the individuals responsible most for your own successes at St. John's, but of course, none of us is the sole master of our fate. As living in this Benedictine community reminds us, we all rely on others just as they depend upon us. And I'd like the class of 2018 to recall some of the individuals who've made your successes possible. First, the monastic community, without whom this exceptional institution would not exist, and whose members are so important to the individuals in this class, as faculty residents, as faculty members, as friends, as confidants. Second, I want to acknowledge and thank the exceptional staff and faculty at St. John's, who have taught and provided support to you throughout your years as graduate students or as undergraduates. Third, I want to acknowledge, of course, all the alumni whose shoulders you stand upon, without whose support your education would not have been possible. You join that group of alumni today, and we look forward to your support for those next generations of Johnnies. And finally, and most importantly, is the support and love you have received from your families throughout your education, not just at St. John's, but back to kindergarten, preschool, all those formative years when Mom and Dad were trying to teach you to be better little boys and now better men and women. I'd like to pause for a moment and have the class of 2018 stand and see if you can find those family members behind you and thank them for all they've done for you over the past 22 years. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Especially today, thanks, Mom. Now I'd like to invite a special guest to the podium. Mary Dana Hinton is the president of the College of St. Benedict, our educational partner, president of our educational partner, an institution that we would not be the same without. Mary Dana Hinton, president of the College of St. Benedict.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the entire College of St. Benedict community, I offer my warmest congratulations to the St. John's University graduating class of 2018. It is truly a privilege to be with you on this joyful day. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to celebrate the graduating class at St. Ben's, your classmates and friends. They send their fondest wishes to you and are eagerly cheering for you today. Both yesterday and today, I am awestruck by the enormous human potential among the graduating class. From this stage, Johnnies, I can see your families and your community's belief in your potential. And I can see and I hold within my heart the hope you represent for a bright and bold future, for yourself, for your families, for your community, and for the world. The people in this room love you and support you, and we are grateful to have journeyed with you thus far. So Johnnies, I want to personally thank you for the enthusiasm, energy, compassion, and intellect that you've shared with the College of St. Benedict. Chardin wrote that the most empowering relationships are those in which each partner lifts the other to a higher possession of their own being. That's what you've done for the College of St. Benedict. I thank you and I honor you. Congratulations, Johnnies. May God bless you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you very much. I would now like to introduce Stephen Fanning, senior class speaker. As Stephen comes forward, I'll tell you a little bit about him. He's a physics major from Northfield, Minnesota, and you elected him to give the commencement address as the class speaker this year. Stephen?
My fellow classmates of St. John's, graduates of the School of Theology, family, friends, faculty, and administrative staff, I want to sincerely thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and congratulations. Seeing as it is Mother's Day, I'd like to say a special thank you to all the amazing mothers here today, and a really special thank you to my mom, Kay, who is absolutely thrilled that I'll be moving back home after graduation. My fellow graduates, after years of struggle, challenges, and triumphs, we have made it. I came here to St. John's 4 short years ago with much less facial hair, a lanyard swinging around my neck, and more fear of the unknown. Who would my friends be? What would I do during the weekends on a campus in rural Minnesota? And how could I cover up that distinct smell of my Tommy Hall dorm room? All of these uncertainties left me unsettled about the future and wary of what may be next. The unpredictability of life and the questions that come with it can be overwhelming. At times, I've even felt a bit stuck, and I know that I'm not alone in this experience. As students at St. John's, we have been stuck in various ways time and time again on and off campus. Many of these times came from challenges from our professors, like the countless times you would get an assignment from a professor which you would undoubtedly push off until 10 p.m. the night before it was due, only to realize you had no clue how to even begin. Desperately, you'd reach out to your friends, who to your surprise hadn't started yet either. Or the times when you would receive a low grade on a test or an assignment and instantly start questioning your major or all of your life choices. But St. John's provided a space in which we could calm our anxieties and begin. More than that, St. John's helped us move forward and grow into the leaders that we have become today. This community pushed us into the unknown to teach us, challenge us, and make us better. For me, one way this was done was through meeting new people and studying abroad in South Africa. Abroad, more than ever, I faced fears of unpredictability and changing schedules. And I often asked, what's going on? Whether it was while bouncing down a back road to the middle of nowhere, having no clue how to speak the language, or when Matthew Bergstaller was being chased by an ostrich. Yes, that actually happened, and of course he outran it. In each situation, we made it through relying on each other and the values that the St. John's experience instilled in us. That's what's so beautiful about the community at St. John's. Realizing that true strength and the ability to persevere lies with our relationships with others. Adventuring with others, having meaningful late-night conversations with others, dancing the night away at Sal's with others, and growing over our 4 years here alongside others. It is our relationships, this community, and this change which allowed us time and time again to move past the unknown towards great achievements. Today, we are on the flip side of this journey, leaving St. John's instead of coming to it. Now, I have more facial hair, a hood around my neck instead of a lanyard, and new questions which are more complex and perhaps more serious. What does life outside of this community look like? Will I enjoy what I do after graduation? How am I going to find success without the built-in community that I've thrived in for the past 4 years? But today, I do not feel stuck. Instead of fear, I feel an excitement for the unknown, because I know that after 4 years here on this campus, I will carry the community, the knowledge that I have gained, and the friendships that I have made onto wherever life takes me next. I know this because my experience here at St. John's gave me the skills and confidence to overcome the fear of the unknown and instead embrace it. So what is next? Obviously, I do not know the answer to this question. But thanks to Walt Whitman, I found some comforting words, which I'd like to share with you today. Whitman writes, "O me, O life, of the questions of these reoccurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish, what good amid these, O me, O life? Answer, that you are here, that life exists and identity, that the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. That the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse." During our time here, we have made incredible friendships and memories that are bound to last a lifetime. We filled our free time participating in clubs, playing in murals, volunteering, and traveling the world. And lastly, we went through dozens of cans of Febreze to get rid of that smell. Thank you, classmates, for being a part of the powerful play that went on during our time here at St. John's. Thank you, professors, advisors, family members, and mentors for sticking beside us along this journey. I do not know much about the coming years, but I am certain our class will accomplish things beyond our imaginations. And I'm proud to say that I am a member of the class of 2018. I wish you all the best as you continue on in life and continue contributing an incredibly meaningful verse. Thank you once again for the opportunity to speak today, and go Johnnies!
Thank you, Stephen. A physicist quoting Whitman. Is there any better example of what a great liberal arts education does at St. John's? By the way, Stephen, I chatted with your mom at lunch. She's delighted you're coming home. She's looking forward to spending the rent money you're going to be paying each month. It's my great pleasure today to introduce our commencement speaker. His name and face, with which many of you may well be familiar because he has in recent years played a significant role on the national and international stage. Dennis McDonough is a proud native of Stillwater, Minnesota. He graduated from St. John's in 1992 and not too long ago retired as the Chief of Staff of the President of the United States. He is regularly described with such words as humble, loyal, respectful, kind, and a good listener. For those in this room acquainted with our Benedictine values, those words may sound very familiar. Throughout his illustrious career, Dennis has aspired to serve the common good through public service and has, as you can see in his professional profile, ascended to positions of great visibility and influence. He has also remained deeply connected to his family, his friends, his buddies from Third Tommy Short, and his alma mater. Over the years, he has met with hundreds of Johnnies and Bennies when they've been in Washington, D.C., particularly during the D.C. summer program. He's made time for tours, conversations, and presentations. And one theme that comes up every time you hear a story about Dennis welcoming Johnnies or Bennies or other friends to the White House is that his staff would regularly have to come in an hour or so into the meeting and tell Dennis he actually had to get back to work. There were some other things going on that were more important than talking to Minnesotans. Dennis didn't agree with that, but he did go back to work. Dennis, if you'd please step forward. St. John's is going to honor Dennis with the highest honor we can offer, one of our graduates. It's an honorary degree, an honorary doctorate. The citation for the doctorate reads as follows: "What are the odds that the 9th of 11 children in an observant Minnesota Catholic family would grow up to be the trusted advisor to the President of the United States? What are the chances that a man in such a demanding, powerful position could still find time to honor his family, his friends, and his faith?" Dennis McDonough, you have done all that and more for your country, for your loved ones, drawing strength and inspiration from your roots at St. John's University and in Minnesota, and paying it forward to future generations of Johnnies. An old school patriot and a global citizen looking out for the common good, you have served the public and your country while at the same time following the tenets of your Catholic Benedictine faith and taking a humble and personal approach to making the world a better place. Part of that foundation was built in Collegeville, where your intellect and dedication made you a standout on the football field as a 3-year starter for legendary coach John Gallardi and as a summa cum laude graduate in Spanish and history. Your dedication provided the springboard for an exceptional career at the highest levels of public service. That service was inspired by your by your heritage, your education, your ideals, and your commitment to your fellow men and women around the world. And it reflected the Benedictine heritage at St. John's. Your expertise in foreign policy made you an essential team for U.S. senators, for the National Security Council, and finally for the President himself. During your 4 years as President Barack Obama's Chief of Staff and trusted advisor, you were lauded as a dove with brass knuckles, who was painstakingly efficient and effective in serving the President, your country, and the interest of all Americans and global citizens. Throughout your White House service, your tireless work ethic was matched only by your dedication and loyalty to the President and to the country, but also to your family and to the students from your alma mater. You made time for all of them while never losing touch with your spirituality and your quest for justice. St. John's University recognizes you with gratitude and confers upon you, Dennis McDonough, the Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, on the 13th day of May, 2018.
Thank you so much. I'm so touched, even a little misty. Michael, very generous introduction. President Hinton, Deans, Father John, Mary Lou Eldridge, Chair of the Board of Trustees. Thank you all very much for the opportunity to be here. To the parents, which I've learned over the course of the last several weeks include many of my classmates and close friends. Congratulations to all of you. A particular note to the moms today. Happy Mother's Day. Every day should be Mother's Day. This is a feeling that grows stronger in me the more time I get to spend with my own beautiful, wonderful wife, and as my brothers and sisters and I watch and experience and are amazed by our mothers aging. It's really good to be back. Really good to be back. Hosting many of you, your classmates, your professors, and even Presidents Hemeseth and Hinton in the West Wing was always an energizing reminder of St. John's. But nothing tops being here. Watching daybreak over the Sag as I did this morning, eating at the Reef as I did last night with my boys, my niece and nephew and my brother, playing catch with my boys on the football field, and most of all, seeing each of you. In fact, seeing Father John and his brother monks over the last day has reminded me of a question my son Teddy asked me when he was about 6 at the dinner table on Sunday evening. That night, Teddy asked, "What is a monastery, Dad?" So I answered in a particularly non-enlightening way that a monastery was a place where monks lived. Uh-huh, he said. So what's a monk? I explained to Teddy that a monk is a person who lives in community and while there lives by a set of rules. The monks I know best, the monks of St. John's, live by the rule of Benedict, whose motto, I said, is that monks should spend their life doing 2 things, working and praying. Teddy pondered this a minute. Then he concluded with a simple question. So, Dad, are you a monk? Working and praying. It's also what all of you have been doing these last 4 years. And all that hard work and all those prayers have paid off. Congratulations. You did it. Now, most of you are from this fine state, but 1 in 5 of you are from 35 other states. Nearly 1 in 20 are from a different country. And about a quarter of you are the first in your family to graduate from college. Remarkably, in a period in our national conversation marked by pessimism and cynicism, according to a recent survey of your class, more than 9 in 10 of you describe yourselves as optimistic about your future. I share your optimism. I share it for 2 reasons. 1, because even with its uncertainty and even its fast-changing, even scary nature, you are graduating into a world of extraordinary opportunity. And I'm optimistic because of what you've accomplished and what you've done and what you've learned right here. As you prepare to step foot into this world, I'm here to tell you that you can do anything that you put your mind to. In fact, in an earlier draft of this speech, I said that for you, the sky's the limit. But then I recalled with Mark Vande Hei returning to Earth from a tour of the International Space Station that not even the sky holds a Johnny back. Today, you join a distinguished tradition of Johnny graduates that includes Mark and many, many others. I want to tell you about 2 more of them. Cleveland Cornelius Cram, class of 1938, was from Waterville, Minnesota. He was retired when I met him in 1994, and as a result, he had time to mentor a young Johnny interested in national security affairs. Cleve loved St. John's, a place he talked of longingly until he died in 1999. While here, he fell in love with history and developed an interest in the world. Having identified that in Cleve, upon graduation, the monks of St. John's cobbled together some money for Cleve to take a train to New York, and from New York, a steamer to Europe. In Europe, he traveled around with a letter from the monks at St. John's, urging their brother monks and monasteries around Europe to receive this hayseed from Waterville and give them a place to stay and something to eat. Walking through Europe on his own in 1938. Think what he saw. The rise of the Nazis, Kristallnacht, refugees in the heart of Europe. And in the face of that brutality, Cleve Cram resolved not to withdraw from the world, a position, by the way, popular in the United States at the time, and increasingly popular in our time, but rather to join it, to not accept it, but to change it. Only then, breaking from his studies to join the Navy and fight in the Pacific, he went on to get his PhD in history in the late 1940s, and he joined the CIA. A kid from Waterville who joined and led the first generation of American spies that built the CIA was introduced to the world by professors and monks at St. John's, armed to change the world because of his experience and education right here in Collegeville. Paul Nakasone, class of 1986, is from White Bear Lake. His grandmother emigrated to the United States from Japan. His father was drafted into the Army in the United States for service to a country where large numbers of people, including our government, still considered him, the son of a Japanese immigrant, an enemy. Paul's dad served as a translator in Japan for the United States immediately after the war. Like his dad, Paul joined the Army, going through St. John's storied ROTC program that has trained generations of service members deployed all around the world today, many of whom were commissioned last night. Paul and his family have served all around the world. And as our military and intelligence leaders struggled with how to use and defend ourselves from the newest weapons, they tapped Paul and 3 other colonels, they called them the 4 Horsemen, to build our first ever cyber warfare command. Then earlier this year, when the president needed a new commander for Cyber Command and a new commander for the National Security Agency, he tapped Paul Nakasone, who was confirmed unanimously, 100-0 by the Senate. A kid from White Bear, introduced to public service by his dad, nurtured in his curiosity to defeat new challenges and his commitment to this country by the professors and monks of St. John's. Paul has built and is now leading the newest component of our national defense because of the experience and education he got at St. John's. Now, each of you has a story about a remarkable Johnny, like Cleve and Paul. They're your dads, my buddies, your uncles, high school teachers, priests, coaches, neighbors, brothers, like 2 of mine, including my one brother, Bill, who's here with me today. And some of the most remarkable people you'll ever meet are the friends seated with you right now. You will travel the world and you will do amazing things, and always, you will find the rarest fellowship and inspiration from them. Those friendships are one treasure you've developed here. Guard that treasure and savor it. Another treasure is the lessons you've learned here. There are many, but I want to just highlight one. Get in the game. St. John's was founded behind the pine curtain by monks engaged in a great experiment in separation from everyday world. Yet the irony is these same monks have trained over a century and a half young men to join the world, to join something bigger than themselves. And while doing so, live by a rule of Benedict that requires every stranger be received as if he were Christ. That lesson is rare. And getting that chance to live that lesson is still rarer. Public life today too often values being against something rather than for something. Tearing something down more than building something up. Public life will press you to do things that are not bigger or different, as your monks and professors have pressed you to do here, but rather things that are smaller and similar. There will be pressure to be suspicious of refugees, of immigrants, and there will be pressure to live in neighborhoods and go to churches and read newspapers and read books written by people of similar views. And populate your Twitter feed with people you agree with. Ignore those you don't. Ridicule those you don't. That pressure is strong. I know. I lived it. And in the White House, I have given in to those pressures more often than I would have liked. And every time I did, I've regretted it. And our country, the world, now as much as ever, needs each of you to show us, as generations of Johnnies before you have shown, what it means to be a Johnny, to be driven by the search for knowledge and understanding and something bigger. These swirling thoughts, musings of my own life, sincere hopes for each of yours, converged last week as I stood in the cathedral at the Benedictine Abbey of St. Gall outside Zurich, Switzerland. I didn't know for sure, but I found myself thinking that maybe 80 years ago, in 1938, Cleve, all of 22 years old, might have stood in the same place. Then I said a prayer for Paul Nakasone as he prepared later that day to assume command of Cyber Command in the National Security Agency. Then, like right now, was a very hopeful moment. A moment of appreciation that for all the extraordinary change over these last 80 years, there's a continuum of Johnnies just like each and every one of you who played a central role in shaping that change. Johnnies who embraced their responsibility to be a leader. Johnnies who rejected fear of the new and different and chose a better, more optimistic path for their own lives and for the lives of others. Johnnies who chose hope, the optimistic belief that the world is what you make of it. Standing with you here today, seeing your readiness, your enthusiasm, as Stephen just talked about, to take on the world, I am more confident than ever that because of you and because of all you will accomplish, our greatest days lie ahead of us. I thank you very much, and go Johnnies.
Will the candidates for the degrees of Master of Divinity, Master of Arts, Master of Theological Studies, and Master of Theology please rise? President Hemaseth, I present the candidates for the degrees Master of Divinity, Master of Arts, Master of Theological Studies, and Master of Theology who have been approved by the faculty of the university.
By the authority committed to me, I confer upon you the degrees Master of Divinity, Master of Arts, Master of Theological Studies, and Master of Theology, which have been approved by the faculty of the university and for which you have been recommended. Father Dale Launderville, Dean of the School of Theology and Seminary, will ask the candidates to come forward.
The degree of Master of Divinity is conferred upon Rachel Lee Gableman from Lincoln, Nebraska. The degree of Master of Divinity is conferred upon Paul Gordon Albrecht Nice of the Order of St. Benedict from Hingham, Massachusetts. The degree of Master of Divinity is conferred upon Kayla Marie Stock from St. Cloud, Minnesota. The degree of Master of Divinity is conferred upon Reginald J. Udodge of the Order of St. Benedict from Subiaco, Arkansas. The degree of Master of Divinity is conferred upon Linda Zerbies from Avon, Minnesota. The degree of Master of Arts and Ministry is conferred upon Alyssa Victoria Matty from Lockport, Illinois. The degree of Master of Arts in Liturgical Music is conferred upon Andrew Ignatius Mountain from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The degree of Master of Arts in Liturgical Music is conferred upon Louise Donna Perillon from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The degree of Master of Arts in Ministry is conferred upon Patrick Michael Smalley from Richfield, Minnesota. The degree of Master of Arts in Liturgical Music is conferred upon Peter John Vanderwall from Monticello, Minnesota. The degree of Master of Theological Studies with a focus in systematics is conferred upon Brennan Robert Hall from St. Paul, Minnesota. The degree of Master of Theological Studies with a focus in liturgy is conferred upon John Matthews Scheuer from Grand Rapids, Minnesota. The degree of Master of Theology is conferred upon Rosie Condathiel from New York, New York. Please join me in a round of applause.
Will the candidates for the degrees Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science please rise? President Himeseth, I present the candidates for the degrees Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science who have been approved by the faculty of the University and the College of St. Benedict.
By virtue of the authority committed to me, I confer upon you the degrees Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science, which have been approved by the faculty of the University and the College of St. Benedict, and for which you have been recommended. Dean of the Faculty, Terrence Check, will ask the candidates to come forward.
I'd like to ask the audience to please hold your applause until all candidates have received their degree. And after the last candidate comes through, we are citing one candidate in memory, and the applause will occur after I do that. We begin with the candidate for the degree of Bachelor of Arts with honors egregia cum laude, Matthew Scott Bergstaller. The candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts with honors summa cum laude: Jacob Paul Brown, Zachary Dwayne Brown, Jordan Thomas Danielson, Michael Ryan Fleechek, James Daniel Foltz, James Elliott Hasselbrink, Jonathan Lawrence Kleist, Marcus Kai Langley, Theodore Peter Lundholm, Tyler J. McCullum, Curtis Charles Naker, Brandon Gordon Thowald, Brandon Joseph Voigt, the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts with honors magna cum laude: Grant Thomas Anderla, Benjamin George Boyning, Daniel Anthony Beyer, Joseph Henry Allard Christensen, Logan Paul Davis, Davis Lee Dinovic, Zachary Brent Eichten, Jack Thomas Feeke, Nathan Richard Hansen, Donovan Alexander Innes, Nathan Eric Johnson, Theodore Raymond Kynes, Sean Patrick Kelly, Nicholas Morris Kramer, Ian William Langeberg, Timothy John Larson, Martin John McGuire, Matthew Thomas Miller, Michael Bryant Nelson, Adam Christopher Nowak, Andrew Richard Noah, Josiah August Eugene Passy, Tyler Reese Prabhu, Andrew Patrick Renier, Thomas Donald Richmond, Joshua Richard Sitars. John Bradley Stevens. Matthew Jonathan Stiller. Anthony Bradley Strelo. Patrick John Strom. Jacob John Wesley Wonkel. The candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honors Cum Laude: Mitchell Douglas Berg. Mason Henry DeMorit. Michael Joseph Fry. Jackson Owen Hunzelman. Alec Martin Janning. Rayhan Johar. Samuel John Labine. Nathaniel David Harlan McKeon. Kyle George Munschauer. Jordan Emmanuel Narlock. Mitchell John Peck. David Patrick Peterson. Nicholas Aaron Rethemeyer. Charles Thomas Schuweiler. Alexander Thomas Seefeld. Huba Sekeshi. Brennan Patrick Swan. The candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science with Honors Magna Cum Laude: David Michael Franta. Andrew Lee Russick. Skylar Austin Winning. The candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science: Hunter Vermish Huntoon. Mitchell Dean Messman. Matthew Riley Silbernick. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts: Joshua Allen Amacher. Noah Aristide Anderson. Jack William Andre. Ramon Juan Angeles Jr. John Michael Archbold. Daniel Gordon Lopez Baden. Alexander Joseph Bailey. Thomas Patrick Baker. Kyle James Becker. John Lewis Beckius. Jonathan William Byrne. Daniel Robert Bender. Schaefer Holt Burgo. Andrew David Bertrand, Isaac John Bestie, Stephen Brad Bezdacek Fawning, Aaron Todd Biederman, Matthew Joseph Binns, Peter James Blaney, Riley Christopher Blavelt, Berhanu Bogali, Darian Mario Borboa, Trayton Lee Borkart, William Paul Borgerding, Michael Gerald Borrell, Jake Robert Brand, Eduardo Brandy, Thomas Patrick Brejnahan, Jeremy James Braver, Samuel Robert Broman, Daniel James Bruckbauer, Matthew James Burke, Colton Michael Bussey, Griffin Thompson Campbell, Christian Samuel Cancino, Omar Abimael Cano, Young Thao, Stephen Michael Carrick, Trenton Lee Carlson, Brady Gabriel Castleman, Tanner Michael Chatterton, Kao Chang, Stanton Alexander Charlton, Pedro Daniel Chavez Morejon, Zeshan Chen, Daniel Toshi Christensen, Theodore Francis Christian, John Caleb Clark, Keegan Brown Conrad, Kevin Joseph Conway, Drew Thomas Coulomb, Aidan Joseph Culleton, John Patrick Cummings, Rory Cambrick Cummings, Jonah Michael Dagan, Blake Christian Dahl, Patrick John Daly, Brady Joseph Damhoff, William Isaac Hugo Darland. Benjamin Joseph Dagenhart. Gino Anthony Delmont. Trevor Thomas Dittberner. Zung Huang Do. Samuel Christopher Dockery. Stephen George Dornbach. Kevin Michael Dudley. Tyler James Dunnigan. Kevin Q. Jung. Joshua Dwayne Dutcher. Aaron Joseph Dwyer. Hudson Milo Cooley Eschelard. Jack Nicholas Edberg. Blake Antone Ekblad. Patrick James Ellingson. Michael Gerald Enck. Mitchell Kenneth Engel. Colin Theodore Ernst. Andre Michael Estevez. Benjamin Joseph Etzel. Connor Deneen Failer. John Bernard Fessenmeyer. Aaron James Fiedler. Thomas Anthony Fiorentino Strawn. Jonathan Peter First. Richard Matthew Fisher. Joshua Thomas Flagg. Paul Muharrem Flanagan. Alec Joseph Flavin Zach. Jacob Francis Fritz. Noah Dane Froberg. Thomas John Fulton. Guang Yao Gao. Brian Jesus Garibay. Daniel Joseph Gillis. Drew James Freebrote Glenzinski. Zachary Stephen Glinke. Samuel Ray Getch. Garrett Kenneth Gates. Samuel James Getz. Christian Elak Grande. Drew Tyler Gredham. Harrison James Groans. Leonard Nicholas Gutierrez. Nicholas Andrew Haas. Joseph August Hamilton. Mark Charles Hanowski. Chancey Van Hansen. Francesco Joseph Malun Hansen. Gerald William Havens, Jr. Miao He. Zywin He. Tanner James Heinzelman. Brent Joseph Henches. Jacob Miles Hickerson. Alexander James Bruni Heinrichs. Matthew Perry Hobby. Nicholas William Schmidt Hoff. Jeremy Scott Holmes Katz. Jonathan Logan Holst. Aaron Michael Hove. Andrew Michael Hoyt. Thomas William Viedhild, Jr. Noah Michael Hines Market. Samuel Allen Ilgen. Benjamin Walter Iverson. Justin Paul Jakes. Abdirazak Ismail Jama. Alex Ronald Johnson. Tanner Dean Johnson. Bryce Michael Johnston. Kenny Adam Joseph. James Carney Joyce. Nicholas Emery Jewell. Brady Daniel Calla. Yan King. Jacob Raymond Arden Kempenik. Andrew Lawrence Kinan. Augustus Bame Chelog. Benjamin Joseph Klapaki. Derek James Knoll. Austin John Kotke. Matthew Adam Kuniyam. Colin James Kroll. Dustin Weber Kruger. Gabriel Kwan. Brennan Michael Lefebvre. Zachary Michael Lang. Isaac Albert Lauer. Jacob Tyler Londergen. Vi-Chin Lee. Kemming Lee. Nathan Raymond Libra. Bryce Jeffrey Carter Lindevig. Patrick John Lloyd. Lucas Eric Lawrenson. Connor Gabriel Lorsung. Nathan Joseph Lortz. Mitchell Mayala Lundquist. Timothy Patrick Leiden. Nicholas Walter Mockmel. James David Macias. Shannon Gary Mackey. Ethan Zane Madsen. Jack Russell Magnuson. Andrew Patrick Mahold. Luke Robert Marlany. Zachary Austin Martin. Eric Joshua Martinez. Jose Antonio Martinez Montes. Benjamin Paul McBain. Sean Patrick McClernon. Alec Robert McFarlane. Michael Edward McGuire. Andrew James McIntyre. Alexander Michael Meeker. Clayton Stephen Merritt. Matthew Thomas Mertens. Joseph Matthew Messerol. Kellen Jacob Metling. Daniel Joseph Meyer. Tyler David Meyer. Matthew Bennett Medke. Austin Lee Miley. Matthew Thomas Miller. Peter John Molitor. Leo Nicholas Moracheski. Brian Eduardo Moraya. Charles Thomas Schultz Morin. Colton Thomas Machenbacher. Lincoln Stevenson Mullings II. Mitchell Thomas Muskie. Paul Daniel Nasvik. Chandler Joseph Nauman. Trayton Miller Newharth. Oscar Antonio Nieves Rubio. Sean Kevin Nyland. Kyle Jeffrey Novak. Brian Lee Obrich. Ryan Thomas O'Gorman. John Lee Oliver III. Grant Sylvester Olson. Samuel Douglas Olson. Saddam Mohammed Omar. Mason Thomas Harder Oram. Christopher Lee Ortman. Jeffrey Pagan. Jonathan Lee Paget. Nicholas Simon Pegalo. Louis Arthur Pennings. Jonathan Frederick Perez. Andrew Michael Perry. Colton Ernest Peterson. Joshua George Polingo. Grant Thomas Poole. Mikołaj Pucha Shidlowski. Robert John Quaid. Aaron Hael Kame. Charles Lawrence Rash. Spencer Raymond Radke. Gabriel Stephen Rakes. Matthew David Rengo. Quinn Allen Renshaw. Eric Jose Reyes. Nicholas Patrick Riley. Isaac John Rillo. Joseph Robert Ringler. Kyle Daniel Rookard. Corey Timothy Ross. Wyatt Paul Russick. Conrad James Samper. Keandro Dwight Scavella. Daniel Francis Schaefer. Jared Thomas Sherping. Dominic Thomas Schlepper. Andrew Charles Schneider. Aaron Paul Schernhier. Griffin Mark Schroeder. Jordan David Schultze. Kyle William Schumer. McKinnon James Short. Dominic Murphy McGuire Simonetti. Robert Richard Skiba. Garrett Richard Skinner. Colin Lawrence Smishek. Ramsey Jure Sorrells. Ryan Leo Souza. Dylan Robert Standifer. Thomas Pierce Stanton. Jacob Warren Sterling. Joshua Joseph Storms. Tyler McKenna Street. Sean David Serbaugh. Adam David Sutliff. Nathan Zachary Sweel. Michael Patrick Swearingen. Shinji Tang. Noel Christopher Teigen. Brett Albert Templin. Purna Sachitra Tenakun. Jaron Joseph Teres. Jordan Paul Tyson. Tanner Ray Teeley. Benjamin Robert Thompson. Dominic Earl Krinky Thompson. Hunter Charles Thompson. Joshua Michael Tomporowski. Anthony John Townsend. Nolan Kevin Tridon. Benjamin John Turnham. Tyler John Urbanski. Samuel John Valerius. Adam Eric Valley. Luke Michael Van Overbeck. Antonio Enrique Vasquez Serrano. Daniel Joseph Vaughn. Christopher Scott Vidmar. Noah Joseph Voigt. Joseph Charles Vorderbruggen. James Martin Votel. Cody Andrew Wald. Robert W. Walden. Jesse William Walter. Denny Wasson Jr. Michael Kevin Waters. Joseph Just Weir. Tyler Nathaniel Weiss. Alex Joseph Wendlandt. Michael Stewart Wagner. Now I lost my place. Was it Alex Joseph Wendlandt? I think we passed him already. All right. Andrew Michael West. Tyler Scott Wilson. Joshua Taylor Hoppy Wright. Tyler Joseph Wright. Yenkong Daniel Yang. Brady Allen Yerg. Chukwua Young. Tevin Lee Zavagil. Nathan Alex Zwaber. And in memory, we cite Andrew Joseph Schneider. Congratulations to the St. John's graduates.
Congratulations to the class of 2018. And now the graduating members of the Men's Chorus and the Chamber Choir will sing the Alma Mater and Gaudiamus Igitur in arrangements by Axel Timer. Thank you, as always, Dr. Timer, for decades of incredible music. Thank you to the choristers this year as well. Also, thank you to those that provided the music this morning at the incredible Mass that we had this morning. They just did a great job. It's a beautiful place to have Mass and a great way to send off our graduates. So thank you to all that were involved in the liturgy this morning. At this time, I'd also like to thank and recognize all the faculty and staff at St. John's and St. Ben's. The wisdom and dedication and generosity of this remarkable community of educators has made possible all that we celebrate today. So thank you to the faculty. And a special thanks to those faculty that are retiring this year. Michael Goss in mathematics, Anna McKenna in chemistry, James Makepeace in sociology, Amy Olson in nutrition, Michael Opitz in English, and Marcus Webster in biology. Between this group, they've educated tens of thousands of Johnnies over decades and decades. Thank you for your service. And finally, just a brief thanks to the many occasionally unsung heroes who make this event happen so smoothly every year. So many of our staff and our students that are underclassmen come and help make this event go smoothly, and they come out on Mother's Day, which is especially generous of them. But in particular, Shirley Kelly, who has made this event run so smoothly for decades, is retiring this year from her position as Executive Secretary in the Dean's Office. So please join me in thanking Shirley and, by implication, all the staff that have helped so much. So please stand for our final hymn, which is in your program, and then we'll join you all outside for a celebration on the plaza. We might have a blessing first. My apologies.
So this is a solemn three-part blessing. I'd ask you to respond amen to each part. If you're comfortable with it, I'd ask you, as parents and faculty and staff and others who are here, to extend your hands in blessing over our graduates. May God keep you from all harm and bless you with every good gift. May the Holy Spirit enrich you with the gifts of faith, hope, and love, so that you may be able to overcome every obstacle and live in freedom and joy. May you walk in the ways of God, always knowing what is right and good until you enter your heavenly homeland. May God bless you, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.